You from running?
Yes, and we're live. Nathan Jackson, thank you very much. The 69th edition of the Sports Lounge, Google Hangout, here on Google and on the YouTubes. I'm Travis Kriens. We have the U.S. Ambassador to the UN there, Nathan Stacken. We have the John Thunes personal speechwriter and Glenn Robinson autobiographer, Marcus Straxler. We also have the Cobb County Administrator down there in Sioux City, Charlie Hildebrand. So plenty of stuff to talk about here on the first day of June. Seems like a lot of stuff to talk about, more than normal, with playoffs and teams getting sold for $2 billion and crazy politicians having unnecessary press conferences. But we'll start with the playoffs hockey. A very important Game 7, I understand, tonight between Chicago and L.A. Stacken, I'm shocked that the Blackhawks have come back down 3-1. Stunning how that happens. I will turn the floor over to you and give me a preview of what to look forward to tonight if this game is in Chicago.
Well, it's going to be loud. Chicago set the fans there in Game 5 set a record for how loud the arena was. They're going to shatter that again tonight. Coming into the series, you thought it would be low scoring. The Kings don't really like to play a lot of fast pace, and they have Jonathan Quick in net, so he was going to stop a lot of shots. But this has turned into a real goal scorer series. Patrick Kane is playing unbelievable hockey right now, and I think you're just going to expect an incredible game tonight. And I think Chicago is going to come back and win the series after being down 3-1. And really, for the NHL, this is a best-case scenario for them if Chicago were to win. But if they get, because you would get an original 6 matchup for the second straight year, this time it'd be the Rangers and the Blackhawks. The two of the top 3 media markets. If LA wins, you get the top 2 media markets in New York and Los Angeles. So really, the NHL has to be doing somersaults, jumping jacks, everything. They have to be really excited with how the playoffs have unfolded.
Yeah, they seem to be in a no-lose situation as far as the teams remaining, and when you consider, Chicago, New York, I think is the preferred matchup simply because Los Angeles hasn't tuned into the playoffs in droves. So I think that's probably one consideration. I think Chicago wins Game 7. I think it's mainly because of Patrick Kane, who has heated up in these last few games especially. He's the reason they won Game 6. And it's like Stacken said, I think a lot of people expected maybe a lower scoring series. It was kind of funny after the series was 2-2 against the Wild. People are like, well, maybe the Blackhawks are vulnerable. And aside from going down 3-1 in this series, and I didn't think they played that terribly other than shuffling a few lines. They have hit all gears, and I don't know what the stat is if it's they're 12-0 in games 5, 6, and 7 in the last
13-0,
13-0, whatever. The point is they're pretty good, and so being able to win in those games where everything's on the line shows quite a bit of resolve. And I would expect the winner of tonight's game to win the Stanley Cup. I think that'll be Chicago.
And the Kings are 6-0 in elimination games this postseason. Remember, they came back from down 3-0 against the Sharks in the first round to come back, only the third team ever in NHL history to do that in the postseason. I really think that Patrick Kane has 2 goals and 5 assists in his last 2 games. He's just playing unbelievable hockey right now. And I think, like Traxler said, the winner of this game is going to win the series because with the Rangers, apart from Henrik Lundqvist, and Martin St. Louis is playing really good right now, but I think that overall the teams in the West are better than the New York Rangers are and will ultimately win the Stanley Cup.
Where does Patrick Kane rank here? Is he among the top 5 players in the NHL?
Yep.
Yeah,
I would say he's. I would put Crosby there when Ovechkin is on. I would put him in there. It's hard right now for me to crunch down to another 2, but I would say he's certainly in the top 5.
How do goalies fit into the top 10?
What's that?
How do goalies fit into a top 5, top 10 list of players? in the NHL.
I think they have to be their own separate category just because of how their overwhelming dominance in the game.
How
Yeah,
different it is.
Well, the problem is that I mean they get so hot and so cold. That I think of a guy like Ryan Miller being a great example. When he's on, there's few goaltenders in the NHL that are better than him, and when he's not, St. Louis is out of the playoffs. And so I think that's kind of how things go. The goalies you're seeing in these series, Crawford and Quick, are two of the better goalies. I would say the three goaltenders remaining are probably your three best goaltenders in hockey. Lundqvist has been great for a long time, but his team has not always helped him with goal scoring as far as getting to this stage now where they're in the final.
yeah. Tuukka Rask from Boston's also really good. Or Carey Price in Montreal, though he got injured in that New York series. But their overwhelming impact on the game, and it's true, they can. How good they are, they're either really hot and can advance you to where the Rangers are right now, where the Kings are. Remember a couple years ago when the Kings were the 8th seed, Jonathan Quick was the major catalyst. They rode that hot goaltending all the way to the Stanley Cup final and ultimately winning the Cup over the Devils. But yeah, as you mentioned earlier with Ryan Miller and the Blues, when you're not on, it's very difficult to match another team goal for goal.
John Sebastian Jaguar is my great example of a hot goaltender. I mean, he won the MVP award in the playoffs in 2003. Won the Ducks a series. I mean, I think the Wild had maybe one goal in a 4-game sweep. That's how impactful a goaltender can be. And then you heard from him maybe a few years after that. Now he's a backup. So that's just kind of these things sort of come and go. A guy like Martin Brodeur or Lundqvist in this case, they're the guys who truly do prove it year after year. Jonathan Quick would be in that category as well.
As far as networks go, ESPN's number 1, ESPN 2 is number 2 as far as most watched, most people, most viewers, all that. NBC Sports Network, the hockey, the Olympic hockey, the playoff hockey really helped them maybe elevate to that number 3 spot, which is kind of open right now. Is this just a thing where, whenever the playoffs are going on, then they'll get a boost, and whenever it's not, nobody's really going to care about the NBC Sports Network? Or is this, how do you translate this into year-round viewership with these NHL playoffs?
I think year-round wise, they're going to be in tough shape. Now, it just so happens that they have a lot of things that I like to watch on that channel. The NHL, the English Premier League soccer, the Dan Patrick Show.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, too.
So they have all these things. I like watching that network. I watch them far and away more than Fox Sports 1 because I think those are the two things you can compare. You obviously can't compare any of the other networks to ESPN. We know that. Even whatever Fox Sports 1 likes to say. So I don't think it can really be sustained success just because the rest of their programming is pretty erratic with racing or whatever else. But becoming a consistent home for some of these things is certainly quite helpful.
They got the Barclays Premier League, so that will certainly help. They're getting NASCAR, I think, next year, so that will certainly help bolster some of their ratings. For portions of the country, at least in the South, they'll watch the NASCAR because they don't give two shits about hockey. But I agree, apart from the Dan Patrick Show, there is no real long-term viability or sustainability to the ratings for NBC Sports Network after the NHL playoffs are done. And then once the NHL season begins next October, Olympics certainly help, but I don't think there's any way they can correlate to year-long viewership.
Mr. Shattenkirk, are you live in Boston right now? Can he hear us? He's here. Nobody can hear Mr. David Shattenkirk.
I'm pretty sure he's in transit.
Well, he's here. We can't hear him. His volume seems to be up, so we'll see how that works. The other playoffs going on, the NBA. I know this has something to do with the with the Olympics and the hockey taking a couple weeks off. But the basketball finals are set before the Stanley Cup finals, which doesn't happen very often. Does anybody think the Heat can take down the Spurs again?
Yes.
Really?
I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't mean to interrupt, but I heard somebody call the Heat the underdogs in this scenario. I just don't see how that's the case. Yeah, the Spurs had a better regular season. They came very close to winning the finals last year, but the Heat are the two-time defending champs. I don't understand how they're not the favorites here, but I'll let the debate continue.
I would say that they have the home court. That's whatever that means.
Right.
But last, Miami was so goddamn lucky there in Game 6 at the end there to get that tip. LeBron really bricked the shot, a three-pointer on the left wing, and it somehow bounces to Ray Allen and he ties the game and sends it to overtime. And Tim Duncan not in the game, which if he was for rebounding purposes, which I don't know why he wasn't, maybe that turns out different. But I would say the Spurs are the favorite because multitude of reasons. I think the Heat are not as good as they were last year. And I think the Spurs are at least as good, if not a little better. We'll see what Tony Parker's situation is. Unlike last year, they have the home court, and I believe they're more motivated. Not to say Miami isn't, because they have a lot riding on this, trying to win 3 in a row. But Spurs, all they talked about this year is getting back, facing Miami, trying not to piss it down their legs like they did last year.
Me personally, I feel like the Heat should be the favorite. I mean, I think if we're going out on a limb and picking who we expect to win, or if we have to pick someone, I would take the Spurs solely for the fact that I think it's so difficult to win 3 in a row in any sport that I just think that the odds are they're going to get something that's going to go against them, not get a break to go their way. But I think on paper, it's tough to say that the Heat with LeBron aren't the favorites in the first place.
I think it's a virtual toss-up. I mean, both these teams have star players. The Spurs get the most points out of their bench out of any team in the league, but I think that the Heat can get after them by pushing the ball. And I think that actually the X factor for the Heat is Chris Bosh, because when he gets going early in games, the Heat that's one more player that you really have to focus in on. And also the kickouts by LeBron to guys in the corner for 3, Bosh, Ray Allen, he does it so well. I would just continue to attack like that. And plus we don't know if Tony Parker, how healthy he's going to be for the finals, so the Heat win it. Really, either team winning this shouldn't be a stunner to anyone.
Richard,
And either way, let's just hope that whoever wins, that it's as good of a finals as it was last year.
I'm hoping for a sweep.
Go to hell, Sack, and go to hell in goddamn basketball communism and hockey.
If it's a sweep, what are we going to talk about?
I don't give a shit.
Wow.
Jeez, so much anger.
Here's the question. You take the top 2 games ratings-wise in this finals. Will they outdraw all games in the Stanley Cup?
Probably. Are you talking about all games combined?
Yes.
Yeah, all hockey games combined, whether it's 4, whether it's 7, I don't care. Add them up to 100. Or do you take the top 2 games, which would probably draw 10, 15 million?
Well, last year I think Game 6 or Game 7 was like 26 million people.
It was a lot. It was the most since the Jordan years. It was a lot.
I will take, if it's New York and Chicago, I will take however long that series goes over the top 2
Really?
games. Yep. New York and LA, I will not take that money, but if it's New York, Chicago, I will.
Well, it's easy for Sackett to say. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
David brings up a good point, and something that I'm a big fan of, bringing back the 2-2-1-1-1 format. You play the playoffs throughout this way. There's no reason why they change it up in the finals. You go through to 2-3-2, first time in 30 years that they've done this. And it's one of the dumbest things they've ever done, because to have 3 home games there in a row, really doesn't benefit you much because it's really hard to win those three home games in a row. With the 2-2-1-1-1, that's how we've played all year long. That's the way they should play in the finals. And yeah, I do agree that does benefit Miami this year. I'll go with San Antonio winning this series here in 6.
I will take. I think Spurs in 7 was my pick last year, and
Very close.
I will take Spurs in 7 again. Maybe it was Spurs in 6 last year. I'll take Spurs in 7 this year. I mean, it's a huge advantage for them to one. I guess to have 6 and 7 at home. But if the Heat can somehow split and then win 3 straight games, this could be done in 5.
If the Heat were taking on the Thunder, I take Heat in 5, but I will take San Antonio in 6.
Gosh, I'm getting worried now since we're all taking the Spurs, but I'm taking the Spurs in 7 just because I don't think this is going to be, and this might not be the most recent example, but the most recent in pro sports I can think of was the Cowboys beating the Bills 2 years in a row, and I think the Spurs are better than those Bills teams were, and it's just
Fine,
so
I'll-
tough.
I'll switch.
It's so
I'll take
tough
the
2
Heat in
years in a
6.
row to get all the breaks, and like Travis mentioned, the Heat got a lot of breaks in Game 6 and 7 last year, so...
I'm sorry, I misunderstood this. It's not 2-3-2 this year?
No, it's 2-2-1-1-1. Schottenkirk likes Miami in 6, and yeah, I mean and he points out it's not 2-3-2, it's 2-2-1-1-1.
Yeah, okay, Schottenkirk. Jesus.
There you go.
I'm sorry I don't listen very well.
2-2-1-1-1.
I still think the Heat are in an okay situation to win the series in 6. I'll still take the Spurs in 7 games.
All right. The Clippers sold for $2 billion, which I feel is at least $1 billion too much. I have no idea how they're worth this much. I have no idea why you would want to buy them for this much money. The Dodgers, I understood the Dodgers after looking into that because of their TV deal. I do not see a television deal coming down the pipes here that will be worth this much. I think they have a new TV deal in a year or 2 with the Clippers. I don't see anything nearing the Dodgers television deal. Did this former Microsoft guy, did he pay too much?
Yes.
In
Yes.
In the long run, is this going to matter?
It is going to matter not just for basketball, but for any other pro sports franchise. I mean, we're looking right now at who's going to buy the Buffalo Bills. I mean, what does this put the onus on for teams like the New York Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys? Teams with actual, they're a brand name. You're paying $2 billion for a team that's never won a championship, or if they did, it hasn't been since they moved to L.A. I don't know what the heck is going on here, but I think this ultimately sets a bad precedent for any other owner or anybody else who's looking to buy a pro sports team. The value is just going to skyrocket to uncontrollable and really unreasonable values.
I think it's kind of irrelevant. I think these are supposed to be really expensive, and that's why billionaires own them. I think $2 billion was more than I thought it would go for. I think obviously he must be pretty confident that Blake Griffin and Chris Paul are going to hang around for a long time, and that they're going to probably at least make a few Western Conference Finals. But in terms of what it's going to mean for the future, it's going to mean things that regular people still can't afford.
I guess I would say that if you paid $2 billion for the Clippers, he must be able to think he can make more than that if he ever has to sell them. Because you wouldn't buy a team if you were going to sell them at a loss. So I think it's quite interesting considering the Clippers have long been the third team of those 3 that play in the winter in L.A. Between the Lakers and the Kings. And they don't own their own building. I don't know if they're hoping for some sort of big windfall from a national TV deal that is coming soon, and the NBA will get paid, but you have to share that with 29 other teams. And I wonder if he wasn't, I don't think he was buying them to move them to Seattle, because that's not going to happen. But you look at some of these angles, $2 billion is a lot of money. I think it does kind of come back to what Charlie said. These franchises are meant to be expensive. That's why, we don't own them. Green Bay Packers fans, you don't own the team.
Whoa, I've got my piece of paper here. This is my thing. God damn it here. What is this about? Or what does this say? This is false?
That's false, yeah.
Oh, shit.
You don't get to call up Ted Thompson and say, I didn't like that 6th-round pick.
Well, I call up myself because I run the damn team, not him. I do it.
3 weeks ago or a month, the Bucks sold for $565 million, and I know they're a terrible franchise and whatnot, despite the fact that Nate Wolters is doing great things for that team.
Okay.
And, but, I mean, I even heard that the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that actually has a history, sold a couple years ago for $287 million, and in 2 years, it's gone to 1.6, 1.5. I mean, that's... or 8 times that many, not 1.5. I don't know where I was going with that. But that's insane. $2 billion for a basketball team. That's dumb. Pay $2 billion for an NFL team like the Cowboys or the 49ers, or if you want to pay $2 billion for the Yankees, that's fine. But for a team that hasn't done diddly squat, come on, give me a break.
Well,
Go ahead, Marcus.
the other part of this is it was an auction. I mean, it wasn't, hey, I just put in my bid and
Right.
Oprah puts in their bid. It's these people are running each other up. That's how you pay $2 billion for something like this. I think one of the other bids was for $1.2 million. There was another one, at 1.6. And I mean, Ballmer obviously really wanted the team. He wants to be an owner. Has wanted to be an owner for a long time. Tried to get a team in Seattle before. Tried to move the Kings to Seattle. So, if he really wants to own a team, go for it. And I mean, the Clippers are a place where you can make some money because it's Los Angeles. I mean, there's certainly potential there for him to get his money out of that.
Billionaires like having expensive and exclusive things. There's only 30 that can say they own an NBA team, so that's how you get stuff to be really expensive.
The Bills are expected to go and sell for $800 million to $1 billion. And it says here that they're going to have extreme legal difficulty moving the Bills before 2020. So I would not expect them to move at all, let alone in the next 5 years. So that's kind of the effect on the Clippers sale for the Buffalo Bills sale, the next team that will come up for sale. Kenny Albert, play-by-play man, he's going across the country, does what New York Rangers radio, and also does TV for the Western Conference Finals on NBC. Is this quite the impressive feat he's got going on here, calling all these games?
I don't know because he's damn good at his job. I think he's great calling hockey. I don't know if Marcus would disagree, but I think I find his calls insightful, and I think he just does a great job. But I think it'd be very taxing to do this constantly on back-to-back nights.
I think he would have a hard time knowing what city he's in. I think he does a good job. It's kind of funny though because he's not really a regular on the regular season schedule aside from a few instances. They have regulars, so it's interesting that they did go with Kenny Albert, but he is a national voice that people are familiar with, and I think he's done a pretty good job.
I don't know where Dave Slater's at because he's the guy who normally does. Dave Strader, yeah, sorry, not.
He did quite a bit of the Wild Blackhawks series, and I would have expected him to do this, but not my call. So.
It used to be your call, though.
It used to be, yeah. I had that choice for a few years.
You bought some stock in NBC Sports Network, and then apparently we found out that was a ruse.
It was a ruse, yeah.
It was a ruse. Nathan Sacken, explain this hashtag RedskinsPride, because this did not go over well. What this is Harry Reid's situation in Nevada.
Yeah.
Senator.
Well, last week, 50 U.S. senators signed a letter and sent it to the NFL saying, hey, get rid of Washington's team name, got to change it. It's racist, it's a slur, it's bad. And so Washington, the fine folks in their PR department, said, well, fans, we need your help. Why don't you tweet Senator Reid and show him your support for Washington?
Nathan Stack, and what happened
it backfired on them, and fans started tweeting about how it's genocide, and they're tweeting sorry Redskin or sorry America, my team's stupid. Deadspin has a great article posting a lot of these different tweets. That you couldn't have botched this anymore if you were Washington. And now one of the NFL's head guys, Adaltus Birch, he's saying that the team name's not a slur. So the NFL is just digging themselves into a deeper hole. But I find the whole thing rather amusing because Washington is just being utterly ridiculous with their stance here, and any sort of efforts they try and make about showing the positive angles of having the team name and what they're doing for the community and for Native Americans and everything is just completely backfiring against them left and right.
I think my favorite tweet with the hashtag RedskinsPride was somebody who had a picture of the 38 Dakota Indians that were hung at Mankato in 1862 and tweeting about how that, Redskins pride and all that. I found it quite humorous. Not too soon for that joke, 152 years later. And it obviously backfired. Harry Reid found it quite amusing as well. I would just agree with the point that Stacken made towards the end there, where the first thing the NFL has to do is stop digging that hole because it's only getting worse for them. So I think it's quite the conundrum that they find themselves in, and I think something is going to happen. It may not be this year or next year, but within 10 years, I don't think Washington's team name will be the Redskins anymore.
It's kind of funny, though, because you have to tread lightly on this situation, too, considering that we have a team in the playoffs right now, the Chicago Blackhawks, that's a name that some people certainly could find offensive, but there's not nearly as much outrage about that, or with the Cleveland Indians, the Atlanta Braves, as...
Well, there is about the Indians when you have the Chief Wahoo logo, which they have they've moved away from pretty quietly.
I saw they wore the hats the other day. I was surprised by that.
Oh, okay. It's weird. I think if Atlanta would stop with the tomahawk chop thing, I think people might be more accepting of the Braves thing, but they don't have a logo that is offensive anymore.
And some people are talking about the Chiefs too, and I get what you're saying about with the Cleveland Indians, but there's not nearly as much outrage over that as this Redskins issue.
Because I think Redskins is more racist than the other ones.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And they were talking too about with the Blackhawks logo too, how it looks a little bit more cartoonish. They don't have the ponytail in the back, but they do have the war paint. So you're trying to compare and contrast between the two, and I don't know. But Washington's not doing themselves any favors.
I assume nothing will get done unless there's a Clipper situation where the sponsors say goodbye, we're leaving. Until this affects them financially, which it has not done right now, nothing's going to happen.
I think we're getting closer to the point, though, where that will eventually happen. Especially with the events that transpired on Thursday. I think people are getting more and more to the point where they're sick of it. They're sick of the Redskins constantly defending it and not even being willing to listen to any other arguments saying, no, we're right, you're wrong. And I think eventually you will see some sponsors go away. But I think this makes Roger Goodell look bad. The parts with Jim Irsay, too, and him not disciplining Irsay at all, I think this makes Goodell look weaker, especially in light of what Adam Silver did with the Clippers and the handling of that situation.
Since we're on Native American nicknames, the Atlanta Braves are getting a new stadium, which we have talked about before quite a bit. But the way they went about getting funding for the new stadium was quite tremendous by not telling anybody it was going to cost Cobb County $400 million. How big of a fan are you of the Atlanta Braves' dirty tactics in getting a new stadium less than 20 years after the old one?
I can't say I'm a huge fan of it, but if you are the Braves, you got to do what you got to do. I think that's probably was their mentality there. They pulled it off to perfection.
It's a crock of shit.
It is a crock of shit. Yeah, it's a tremendous crock of shit. I think I have so many problems with that, and I think the main part is you've been to Turner Field. I have not.
I think Schottenkirk's been there as well.
Yeah, it's close to downtown, right? Still relatively close to.
You can see the big buildings.
Okay.
It's got a hell of a skyline if you're sitting there. It's pretty good.
But the new stadium in wherever the hell it's going to be is not going to be anywhere near the city. Traffic will be a problem, and I guess my biggest thing is you always hear about this development going in around the stadiums, especially when they have acres and acres in suburbia, and it never works. You never see any of these developments come up. If a development does come together, it comes together in a city, a lot like where the Braves are at now. I don't know why you wouldn't just put some money into either Turner Field or put some money into the area around that, or buy all the houses and knock them down and put whatever you want in there.
Sorry, go ahead, Marcus.
I just have a problem with moving. I shouldn't care. It's Atlanta. They're gonna mess it up. That's their thing. But
they're one of the great sports cities in this country.
Yeah,
it is. They did have all 4 sports teams, and now they have the 3 that everybody would agree matter.
And they never won anything, and nobody goes to their games, and nobody cares. It's hotter than hell. Their airport is huge.
Yeah.
And again, it's just hotter than hell.
It's hotter than hell down there.
13 straight division titles or whatever they won. Only 1 World Series championship in that, though. So they're the only team that's done anything worth a damn in that town, though. As of late, of course the Hawks were decent back in the day, but the Atlanta Falcons are doing something good, but they were in a fight with a couple of churches for getting land for their new stadium. So I don't think they should get a new stadium after 20 years. I mean, that's ridiculous. But clearly, after they saw the fight that the Falcons had, they probably just thought it'd be easier to be a little sneaky about it and
why did the
let's go do
Falcons
it.
get one? They built that in '92. Why the hell did the Falcons get one? What are they going to do with this?
The South likes to just throw away money, and clearly it's this
Only the South?
Well, it's clearly this education system where they think that things go bad after a certain amount of time. And they're dumb in the South, and this is just another example of why that is.
Reaching out to the Southerners.
We're never going to be able to go national because
I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
Shaq really needed it.
They are very nice people. They cook excellent food. They just aren't that smart.
Stupid and stacked.
I've been there.
I think instead of a Southern thing, I'd say it's just more of an American thing that we want new things all the time. And why fix it when we can just get something new if you can afford it?
David says Turner Field itself is just fine. He says the parking sucks and that the bus train system they have is a joke. I thought the parking was tremendous. So maybe you can expound on that. You park literally across the street from the stadium. I can't imagine you could park any closer to a stadium than Turner Field. I mean, you could throw whatever ball you have in your hands. You could literally throw it from where your car is at and hit the stadium. And so that's
Kauffman Stadium's pretty good like that in Kansas City.
Kauffman's got a massive parking lot, but literally this Braves Stadium is right across the street from their parking lot. Kind of a shady neighborhood, but that's the way it goes.
I just want to punch a hole, though, and I know that the people on this chat get it, but punching a hole in the whole, you can build a stadium in a suburban area and, hotels and restaurants and apartments and businesses and all these things are going to go up right around it. That just is not going to happen, and that's the plan they had for the Vikings when they were going to have it in Blaine, and that would have never happened either. So I'm happy that they picked the Metrodome site because they put a lot of infrastructure in that, and it's possible that things could work there because businesses are already there. All those things are already in that area. I think having the stadium be your center point of, all this development, it doesn't work. And I can't wait for 10 years from now when it's not working in Atlanta.
I just want to clarify, I love the South. They're great people.
Here's another thing on the South. Facts show that they're obese, unhealthy, less educated. Why is that? Why did the South never catch up?
I don't really want to say why.
Like, does it have anything to do with
Reconstruction after the Civil War?
Yeah, I would say it actually has quite a bit to do with the Civil War. I mean, I'm not saying that they were all, law school level educated before 1860, but I mean, having a 5-year war basically is not helpful for education or
especially when you lose
or any of these things. And yeah, being on the losing end and having your tail between your legs isn't helpful either.
I might say
the North had
slavery.
far more people and infrastructure and money and businesses in the first place.
They didn't need to rely.
It would be the equivalent
slaves.
if South Dakota split between West and East River. That I get that there's differences between the two, but all the people and all the businesses and everything is in the East River. And then after a while, it would just be like, oh, well, West River, there's some nice things out there, but, you take away everything else away from them, except what is right there. You're going to lose out on lots of infrastructure.
We have our little chat going. The other part is the South's infrastructure was slaves, and slaves were outlawed. I mean, when you don't have that, then that becomes a problem, and you have 100 years of angst, and more than that, considering that those former slaves had to live aside from the people who owned them, and that is a problem.
And New Orleans, Mr. Stacken.
I don't want to say it. I just thought I'd type it.
Yeah, whenever you build a city under the water, where the water's here and the city's down here, that's a problem.
To be fair, the French were the first one that came in and settled it.
We bought it for 2 cents on the dollar and just.
Yeah, we bought it from them for dirt cheap. I don't see how that's the United States' fault.
That was our Pau Gasol trade right there.
That is the worst trade in history. We can talk about Walker,
and also getting Alaska from the Russians.
That is the worst trade.
Big deal too.
Okay, if from a South Dakota trade perspective, didn't Huron have an opportunity to have South Dakota State, the university there, and they chose the state fair because they thought that had more long-term viability?
I know that Sioux Falls had a choice between the prison and the university, and they took the prison. And the university went to Vermilion.
In what, I mean, it boggles my mind. In what era of time does that ever make sense? Yeah, we want the prison, we want the state fair, we don't want the school, we don't want the state university. We want a prison or we want a fair that happens once a week every year.
I agree that it's weird. To be fair, though, Sioux Falls does have a crap load more people than both Brookings and Vermilion still.
But if you put SDSU in Sioux Falls, we talked about that before, but goddamn. What else we got here? Let's get into some baseball since that's what everybody's been waiting for. Aaron Hicks has decided to hit right-handed only. Do you see this move turning out good for him? So far, a weekend, he is still hitting 190. So.
Can't hurt. Can't get any worse.
Okay.
I don't see it really working out. I think he needs to face a lower level of pitching, a lower level of competition, ideally AAA, where larger problems that occur on both the left and right-handed sides of the plate can be worked out. I just think you've had him up here for what, a year and a half now, and things just not even a year and a half, and things just haven't worked out real well. I would certainly say you can give him a whole month's time and try the right-handed hitting out and see what happens, but I think at some point I don't think it's worth really leaving him up at the major league level.
I think I can't remember when I was watching. I think it was Monday or something. Bert Blylev and Dick Raymer are just going crazy about this decision here. And then, like Hicks gets a hit, and Blyleven's like, "That's why that you build up his confidence, and that's why he's switching to just right-handed pitching. This is why the Twins drafted him #1 overall a few years back. He's going to do just fine. Get some confidence installed in the young man." I'm just like, okay, easy guys. Let's see how this pans out a little bit. Granted,
that's the company pitch there, though.
I've heard
Aha.
that the big thing now is that his back is acting up because he's only doing things right-handed now. How is that? Is that a legitimate thing?
His back?
Have you heard, when I'm watching Drew Alman somehow joining us here, where he's only doing it right-handed now. Mr. I don't know, Tiger Woods.
I like that Drew looks like Tiger Woods.
There you go.
Hello.
I sent out the
Hello.
baseball signal. I sent out the baseball signal so you could come on.
Yeah, I saw it.
Aaron Hicks only hitting right-handed now, and apparently his back is giving him trouble. I heard because he's only doing things right-handed, which I think is a load of crap. Is this legitimate? I mean, it sounds like it's something that could be. It makes sense, but honestly, come on.
He needs to go to AAA for I don't know 75 games, and then see where he's at there.
The season will be over then. Then what?
Maybe about 6-7 weeks. But yeah, he's got to figure out what he's doing down there. I don't know. Like they keep mentioning Sam Fold. Well, when he gets healthy, he comes back down. Why not just bring up a guy like? It's not going to be a name that anybody's heard of, or many people anyway. But Eric Ferris. I know he's not like considered a prospect. He's sort of an organizational player.
Is he the 40 man?
Yeah, he's hitting 300 in AAA. Bring him up. He plays center field. That way, you kind of have you have him out there, Danny Santana. As soon as his horrendous eye injury heals up, and then you got some options for center field. That way, it's not such a not a roster issue if Hicks is out of there.
They won 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. Didn't deserve to win that game today, but they did with 6 runs. 6 runs in the 9th inning to win. The pitching was tremendous, if unspectacular. Hughes had the best performance, going 8 innings, 2 runs. He's been terrific, and his hot streak has continued. However, Ricky Nolasco and Kevin Correa put up some god-awful performances, but they did not pass the eyeball test. If you look at the stats, they were terrific. I believe they each went 6 innings. They both only gave up 1 run. But goddamn, if that was not a tough thing to sit through, watching these pieces of crap.
How come the Twins can only beat the Yankees in New York when they have crappy teams? When they were competing for the Central Division year after year, they could never beat the Yankees in New York. Now when it doesn't matter, now they find ways to win.
Because that was when the Yankees were good, too?
Because the Yankees were better? I think this is a pretty simple answer.
Oh, it's bullshit. They should have beat him then, too.
Yeah, okay. The bullpen, again, one of my pet peeves, along with Ponder and Atlanta Stadium and Aaron Hicks. The bullpen, the pitch count, the whole thing.
Hughes easily could have got that complete game.
Well, I'm not too concerned with that, considering they were up by 5-6 runs.
Okay,
there.
all right, you're relaxing a little bit there.
That's fine. I mean, that's a good 30-minute wait there. My problem is with the bullpen use on the win Friday night. You bring in Thielbar to pitch the 7th. He throws 9 pitches, easy. You bring in Fiend, about 15 pitches. He gets it done. And you're up 6-1, and you put Perkins out there, and he throws 20-25 pitches. I would have liked to have seen Thielbar throw another inning. I would have liked to have seen Perkins be used on Saturday night when the game was tied at 1 in the 8th inning, instead of being used on Friday night when you were up by 5 in the 9th. Who's their best bullpen pitcher? Glenn Perkins. When is he used? Not when the game was on the line, when you're up by 5 runs with 3 outs to go. This is dumb shit.
That's a league-wide thing that I don't get. We need a couple managers to come in who are a little bit radical with how they handle their bullpens. We just need 2 guys to try this and then have some success with it, and that will sort of trickle down to the rest of baseball. I agree. Use your closer in the 7th inning, tie game, runners on 2nd and 3rd, 1 out or something. You know what I mean? why not there? It doesn't have to be the ninth inning or late in the eighth inning, or keeping your closer out in the bullpen if it goes extra innings. You need to. I think this is something that needs to happen. I'm just waiting for it.
Two things there. One, Brian Dunsing was a pitcher who did allow the run on Saturday. That was his second inning of work.
Which I was fine with because the first inning.
Right.
But the thing was, the excuse they gave, Fieldbar, he must be unavailable. He threw 9 pitches last night and just cut through the order like nothing. He was unavailable.
His elbow
was unavailable.
was as big as a tennis ball.
He threw 9 pitches.
It's because he threw 9 pitches.
He pitched the day as well.
24 hours later, your arm is just huge.
If you highlight him in the video game standings, his stamina bar is like that now. So that's why we had to take the day off.
Yep.
The meter on his accuracy shrunk really small, and it's tough to hit X at the right time.
Probably threw 16 balls down the bullpen too. So and playing catch probably before the game a little bit too. So those, the pitch count in reality is at least 25.
Yeah, he may have thrown the ball at least 30 times there Saturday.
The other thing I had to say is the Rolaids award goes to the best closer at the end of the year. Is that right? The Rolaids reliever. That used to be called the Fireman Award because that would be the person who put it out. I think the closer role should be renamed the Fireman in honor of both that award and George Strait.
And
I don't know what else.
Blake Day,
right, the fireman.
Fireman extinguisher. Boom, boom,
yes.
boom.
Dale Knight, the fireman? What?
Blake Day.
It should be renamed that because then you could bring that person in. You wouldn't be tied down to the whole closer, whatever, because I have to bring him in the 9th inning. You can use the fireman in the 6th, 7th, whatever.
I love it because it's the only position that's ever basically been made because of a stat. Oh, you can't bring them in now. You got to wait till you're up 3 runs. If you're up 4, bring somebody else in. But if you're up only 3, then you bring this guy in.
Wouldn't it be great to see a bullpen where you've got 3 guys who each have 13 saves?
Well, the Twins tried something in 2010. They had Nathan, Matt Capps, which was a disaster. The Aaron Hicks of bullpen guys. And then you had Brian Fuentes. All 3 were closers, and that was very short-lived. But I really liked that. 3 guys that were closers, and Nathan, he was still the guy. But you had 2 other guys who were closers before that you could put in there as setup guys.
That's what I was going to say. Is that wouldn't it? I mean, you see this sometimes where there's you have a guy who pushes out the previous closer, so technically you have 2 closers, and then they make a trade at midseason, kind of like the Twins, and all of a sudden you got 3 closers. Wouldn't it be great to pay those guys the most to be your what I'm going to throw you when we really need it? That would be quite terrific to have 3 stoppers to be used at any point in the game. And if you pay those guys the most, I don't see what the big problem would be with that, even if they're technically not getting saves.
The Pittsburgh Pirates here with Mark Melancon, their setup guy, and Jason Grilli, their closer, often hurt. You got a 1-2 punch there. You can go back and forth. Keep Grilli healthy later in the year, and Melancon, he has done very well in a setup role and as a closer going in. So they have an opportunity here to do that closer situation.
I can't believe the Twins made a trade expressly for a closer guy. I just don't think making trades for a closer is something you should probably do. That feels like risky business, and it was, and it did not pay off. Now, Capps was good that period in 2010, but after that, it was a train wreck.
And the Twins, like the Viking quarterback situation, they have a hard time pulling the trigger and changing. They seem like they had a hard time pulling Capps out of that role. Meanwhile, you have other teams around the league where if you blow 3 saves within 2 weeks, they'll just yank your ass and say, done. Oakland with Jim Johnson gave him a boatload of money from Baltimore. Up, you suck, you're done. The Mets with Valverde up, you suck, you're cut. It seems like teams have a very quick trigger with closers. The Twins, they seem to be the opposite of that. Everybody agrees, okay.
Yep.
50 Cent, this pitch at Citi Field. We don't have the video up, but if you haven't seen this thing goes about 50 feet to the left. One of the all-time historic worst opening pitches ever. I mean, this was not good. This is street cred for getting shot 9 times. That's really got to go down, doesn't it?
It's out the window now. He's got no street cred.
This
He just-
sucks.
You did it to get people talking about the new album.
Nice.
The
That's-
only one I've
that's a
seen
conspiracy.
bad as his, I think it was the Cincinnati mayor. It was a mayor in some city, and he was a lefty too. And it roughly went about the same as 50 Cent was. It was a very similar ordeal, and those are by far the 2 worst I've ever seen.
Carly Rae Jepsen
Yeah, I was
last
just
year.
gonna say, can I nominate Carly Rae Jepsen, who grounded her pitch like 20 feet from the mound
If you had to
last year?
describe that pitch in one word, what would that one word be?
Bad.
How about another word for bad?
Lackadaisical?
Larry Traxler, please help me out here.
Frightful.
How about,
Atrocious?
I was looking for poor.
Garbage.
Poor, very poor.
Poor.
Yeah.
We should probably note that 50 Cent got shot like 9 times.
Yep.
That was mentioned, yeah.
That probably affected kind of his ability,
Oh, you're saying it's still a scar?
I'm saying that it probably maybe hurts a little bit playing catch with a baseball.
It's a
Probably
great.
not very familiar with throwing a baseball. If you put those together, that's how that happens.
It's a great PR move for dropping his new album because I didn't even know he had a new album coming out, and now I do because of that terrible pitch and the subsequent tweet. So thank you, 50 Cent. In the club.
I didn't know he had one until you brought it up right now. Way to promote free advertising for him, Stackhand.
Hey, you know what? That's what I'm here to do. I drop names and companies and everything like that. So look at this, Hard Rock San Antonio. Yep.
Ooh.
Ooh, all right.
Wow, that pitch was a good metaphor for his second album, which was really poor.
Thank you. Annette Bosworth, running for senator in the state of South Dakota, had a tremendously entertaining press conference. When was this? Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday? Tuesday.
Well, it's hard to keep track because every senator candidate except Mike Rounds has had at least one press conference this week.
Who's going to be your next senator for South Dakota?
The one who didn't have the press conferences this week, probably.
Won't have my vote, but that's off the record.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. She had a press conference this week in Sioux Falls on the strip mall there on Minnesota Avenue. I believe she bought out the old Sioux Falls Skyforce office buildings.
Yep.
So she could. Is that what she really did, though?
I think so.
So that's funny. It was streamed on the Argus Leader website, and I'm sure they got a boatload of hits. Because this was bizarre as hell. She had graffiti in the background with X-rated language that we don't want to use here, such as bitch and such. And this is, and she opens it up.
Republican.
Yeah, Republican, right winger. This type of stuff, and she does her best Ray Charles impression to start the thing off, closing her eyes,
Oh my God.
and basically this press conference was her kid Googled her name and found all these bad words, which I Googled her name and I didn't find any of these bad words.
Well, we're looking hard enough.
Apparently not, but and she was all against this was very anti-women. The comments on things such as blogs and internet comment sections and such reputable sources as that. And this thing went on for a half hour, and she's holding 17 microphones in this hand, and she's holding a cup of tea in this hand, and going back and forth. This is about as professional as a thing as I've seen in my time on Earth, and I recommend this to everybody. And I hope she is a doctor someday for me or my kids or somebody that I know, because this was tremendous.
I have not seen this, but it was basically people on the internet were saying negative things about her, and she was taking umbrage with that, is what the crux of this sounds like.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So her goal with that is to get into politics where people only say nice things about you all the time. That's the end game.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think news stations have ever been more desperate to just have as tight of a shot on her face than they could, because obviously they don't want any of these words to be broadcast.
Make sure you don't put the C word behind her left shoulder there.
Yeah.
Yeah, put that on the front page above the fold. Now, I liked how she does this huge performance, is basically what it was, then wraps up, and it's just like 15 minutes of talking about the petition signings while she was in wherever she was.
Philippines or
She was out of the
Indonesia.
country. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. I liked. Is it? This is the first time we ever talked about politics on.
Yes. This is the politics lounge.
Look at this.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. I don't know. We've talked about stupid people like this, I think.
How
we
does
talked
this
about the Idaho governors 2 weeks ago, and that was entertaining.
How does this affect NDSU football recruiting?
The Annette Bosworth thing?
Yeah.
I think it strengthens it in Sioux Falls.
That's what my impression was watching it, yes.
Kriens, I asked you if she's even going to get 1,000 votes out of the three or four people. Out of the 3 or 4 people, because isn't it like a closed primary to just Republicans? Who in their right mind, after seeing
there's
that?
a lot of nutty freaking people. There's a lot of people that saw that and have the opposite reaction of what we had and said, God damn, that was good. That was good. And you know that it's true.
There's more than 400,000 voters in the state, and half of those are Republicans, and the other half are either Democrats or don't have a party. So there's plenty of Republicans that can vote for her, and there's, like Kriens said, there'll be plenty that will. What percentage she's going to get, I wouldn't expect it to be double digits at all, but she'll get her votes.
Did we not just talk about the South and how they are behind the times here? This is where these people come from. This is their demo.
Are we going to guess how many votes she's going to get now? My guess is 3,000 total.
I don't know. I don't know how many. I'd have to look back at past primaries. It's been a while since we've had something like this where the seat is open. Browns is obviously going to win easily. He'll get at least probably 60% in the general election, but he should get at least 50% here. And I don't know what the breakdown would be. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people. Maybe the second place guys at 20, 30%, and everybody else is at 10 and 15.
I do feel a little bad for her, for having done that whole thing. And you know what? She made a couple good points, I think, on the veterinary, the VA situations and what she would do and stuff. But it's just, you just feel bad. It's awkward, and it's like a train wreck. It really is.
It was awesome to watch.
I feel bad for her. I really do.
I really don't. Trivia time. I'm glad we have 17 people here to do the trivia. This is good. We'll see if Mr. Schottenkirk can contribute via text, and we'll go across the way as I see it here. Cobb County Administrator first, Bubba Watson second, John Toon speechwriter third, the what was sacking the U.S. ambassador to the UN, and
it certainly isn't to the south.
No, and Mr. Schottenkirk, Boston's own, he'll be fifth here.
Boston strong.
Boston strong.
This is our city.
There you go.
Is it?
Yeah.
Since we are all in 6 different cities right now. This is all of our cities right here.
Wow.
That's huge. Demographics.
Yes. Marcus was not here. Drew hasn't been on since the Carter administration, so let's find this here. Marcus, do you know how this trivia thing works? You pick a team.
Yep, I watched back the last two shows, and since everybody's on here, I'm going to address this now.
Good.
I heard you calling out my milk game last week.
Yeah, what is it? Skim milk? You're going with skim milk, for Christ's sake?
Now,
Boston.
I don't think I ever said I was tied to skim milk. I have 1% in my fridge right now, and I can get it out if you want.
Bullshit. Go get it.
Another word for skim milk, Marcus. It's water.
Water. Aquafina milk. No.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, there are times that you want to drink water, but you want to drink expensive water, so you can drink skim milk.
Yeah, exactly.
What do we got? Hold it up and talk. Hold it up and talk.
Just Aquafina.
Okay, you've got Aquafina. Very good.
I got to put this back. I don't want it to go bad.
It's going to curdle. It's going to curdle.
Yeah.
What do I have? I have an empty box of strawberries, and you know where those went, so there you go.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I got some tea. I have some tea over here.
That's a massive...
Okay, it's good.
It's a massive goddamn cup.
Mm-hmm.
So the way the thing works... I have the big three sports here: baseball, football, basketball. I have one trivia question each for each team. This will last, I don't know, a couple months. We'll probably do 3 rounds here. Right now, the catch is you have to have one question from baseball, one from football, one from basketball. The Nathan Stacken rule in effect, so you cannot, you cannot do no baseball questions. So. A fresh slate. All the teams, we did a practice round a couple weeks ago. Those teams now have new questions. So a fresh slate for everybody. Charlie Hildebrand, you can start us off. You can pick any team of the 3 major sports.
I guess I'll take my Miami Dolphins.
All right.
Larry Zonka.
Stacken, it's my turn right now.
Who was their greatest fullback?
I believe that the answer would probably be Larry Zonka.
All right. Question 2. Who did they play in their first trip to the Super Bowl?
I believe it was the Dallas Cowboys, and they lost.
It was the Dallas Cowboys and Charlie Hildebrand. It's on the board.
And what's his name? Bob Greasy had a sack where he kept spinning and turning around and rounding 10 yards back, and it was about a 30-yard loss. And that's about all I know about that game.
Super Bowl 6. There we go. Drew Ahman, what do you got?
What can I do here?
You pick any team you want. You can't pick the Dolphins. They're off. But we're going to go through this through the next 2 months. You pick any team you want, and you have to pick at least one baseball team, one football team, one basketball team each round. We're doing 3 questions at a time here.
So there are 91 teams left to choose from.
Basically, yeah. So pick any team. I will ask you a question pertaining to said team, and we'll tally it up at the end so you got the best score.
You've got questions ready for all of them.
Yes.
Do I have to keep track of my own points, or are you doing this?
I will do this.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Toronto Raptors.
Jesus Christ.
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Where did they play from 95 until 99? What building did they play? Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
They currently play somewhere, but from 95 to 99 they played somewhere else.
Current place is the Air Canada Center.
Thank you.
Can you not? Stacken?
I don't think you understand how this game was played, Stacken. It's not your turn yet.
I'm not giving him the answer. I just thought.
Yeah, you are.
You could be taking one away, though.
I have no idea. Air Canada Center is my answer anyway.
No, it was the Sky Dome. They played in the Sky Dome.
Rogers Center.
Thank you. So some questions are difficult, some are easy.
Who let him on the show?
Shane Coop. Shane Coop let him on the show.
I'll have to have a talk with Mr. Koob.
Marcus Raxer, you are up.
Minnesota Vikings.
Give me this. You need to give me all 3 of these answers since it is the Vikings.
Yikes.
Give me the all-time leader in passing yards, rushing yards, and receiving yards. You need all 3 for the win.
That's a horrendously easy question.
Passing yards, rushing yards, Receiving yards.
Passing yards, Fran Tarkington.
Yes.
Adrian Peterson, rushing yards.
Yes.
Okay. And Chris Carter, receiving yards.
Is that right, Drew Almond?
That's got to be right.
Yes, that is right.
Good.
Good.
I was just hoping it wasn't Anthony Carter. That'd be a problem.
Tony Carter. Could have been.
Tony Carter.
It was Percy Harvin,
Jake
actually.
Reed.
Surprise upset.
It's Matthew Hatchett.
Most migraines for a marijuana smoker. Christy Harvey. Nathan Stackett, you are up.
We will go with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Why?
Your hometown. All right, Memphis Grizzlies. Who's their first ever draft pick? The Grizzlies franchise.
I have two names in mind. I'm going to say Big Country Bryant Reeves.
Nathan Stacken gets it right. Very good.
I can only remember his nickname. I couldn't remember what his real name was.
If David Schottenkirk would like to participate, text your type in.
Dodgers. He has Dodgers.
He has Dodgers. Okay. I believe somebody picked the Dodgers last time as well. That might have been him. The Dodgers. I name of a pitcher here. He had 2 career no-hitters. The first one was with the Dodgers. It was at Coors Field in 1996.
Never mind.
I know it.
I thought I did until I heard the year, and then it didn't work anymore.
We're waiting David Schottenkirk's answer. No,
right.
that is correct. Yes, David
Got it.
gets it. Hideo no
Boy,
more.
I forgot about that guy. He was good for 5 or 6 or so years.
Charlie Hildebrand, you're up.
I guess I'll stick with baseball, and I'll take my Chicago White Sox. So I can embarrassingly get this question wrong.
They had a pitcher. They won the 1993 Cy Young Award. What is the name of that pitcher?
Could it be Jack McDowell?
Jack McDowell is his name.
Nice.
And that is correct. Charlie Hildebrand setting a hell of a pace.
I remember being excited. I got one of his baseball cards back when baseball cards used to be a thing when I was a kid.
Those were the days. Drew Almond. It cannot be an NBA team.
Boy. Oh, goodness. Let's go Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They're an NFL team.
That's an NFL team, I believe.
They lost their first 26 games as a franchise. You remember this?
Yeah.
Who'd they beat? Who was their first win?
Saints. New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans Saints.
Nice.
New Orleans Saints.
Boom.
Very good.
Yep.
Was that game in New Orleans? Was that below sea level?
It was not. It was in Tampa Bay. So no. There you go. No, nobody died. When we did this the first time, people had trouble getting them right. We had about a 50% rate, but now people not having as much difficulty. Marcus Traxler, as Mr. Almond talks here to Stu Whitney on the line here.
Minnesota Twins.
Minnesota Twins, look at you just cleaning
I was
house.
surprised no one had taken the Twins yet.
Cleaning house.
I know this will be hard.
They've had three different pitchers win 4 total Cy Youngs. Give me 2 of the 3 pitchers.
3 pitchers that have won 4 Cy Youngs.
Yeah, one guy won it twice. The other 2 won it once. Give me 2 of the 3.
Johan Santana.
Yes. Yeah, 2 other guys that have won the Cy Young. I need one of them.
Jim Cott.
Not good guess, but not Jim Cott.
Yes. I'm gonna guess anyway.
Yep.
Frank Viola.
Yep.
Yep.
1988.
That was the other guess.
Jim Perry in 1970.
Okay.
Bert didn't win one for the Twins?
He did not.
Jim Cott, 15 Gold Gloves, no Cy Youngs. Thanks a lot.
And no Hall of Fame either. No Hall of Fame.
He's only got like 170 wins.
No, he's got. No.
He doesn't have more than 200.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I
looked this up the other day.
I think he's got like 280.
No.
Well, one of you two's drastically wrong.
He pitched for
I
like
just don't know which
25
one it
years.
is.
What do we got here? Wins.
I'm gonna look this up quick.
180 wins? Well, that's 180 complete. He had 180 complete games. He's 283 and 237.
Well, shit.
Because he's like the guy that has like the most wins, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. And I think his time came. He's got 180 complete games.
Must have read it wrong.
You could add up the last 10 years. You probably aren't going to get up for everybody.
Safe to say that no one will ever pitch 180 complete games ever again.
Lucky if you win 180 games. So, Mr. Stacken, you are up now in the batter's box.
Yep.
What other randomness team will you pick here?
Now, we're going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Your boys from Tampa Bay. It took Tampa Bay 11 seasons to finally make the playoffs. When they did, they played this team in their first playoff series.
Crap. Let's say it is the Texas Rangers.
The Chicago White Sox. Good guess. I remember them playing the Rangers, but it was the
Was that when the White Sox and the Twins had that one-game playoff for who was going to go to the World Series? Or maybe it wasn't a one-game playoff. It was just the 162nd game decided who was going to go to the playoffs.
I'm not sure. That may have been.
I believe
we have a one-game playoff, and Jim told me
so.
a home run in the 8th inning.
I believe that was 2008.
I only remember because that's when I kind of quit paying attention to baseball, and this is going to sound awful to baseball fans, but I remember being disappointed the White Sox made the playoffs because I felt obligated to watch it then when I wanted to just focus on football.
Because you were worried about the White Sox not having as good of a draft pick?
That's exactly it.
You're always thinking about somebody else, Charlie. Mr. Schottenkirk, he says the Denver Broncos. Give him the Denver Broncos. Who did Denver trade to Washington for Champ Bailey in 04?
Ooh, good question.
Shit,
I forgot about that trade.
It's too easy stacking, right? Too easy.
Yep, way too easy.
Very, very disappointing. Schottenkirk is a very good selector of the questions.
I feel like I know this. Yep.
Clinton Portis is correct.
Was that a 1-for-1 trade?
I believe so.
I believe it was a straight-up trade.
Wow.
Classic trade.
Charlie Hildebrand, you've gotten 2 in a row. Harrison's going to make 3.
And I need an NBA team now.
NBA team.
I guess I will... There's too much of the Kings where I didn't pay much attention because I used to be a Kings fan. I was a Bulls fan as a kid, so I'll take the Chicago Bulls.
Very good. They set the record for wins in the 95-96 season in the regular season. How many wins did they have?
Was it 72?
Charlie Hildebrand, it was 72. So yes. Charlie Hildebrand, the clubhouse leader. He is a perfect 3 from 3.
I knew they lost 10 games. I forgot if they played 81 or 82 games in an NBA season.
82 games that they played. Drew Ahman.
Yeah.
To finish above 500.
Okay. Baseball. Let's go with... Let's go with San Diego Padres.
How many batting titles did Tony Gwynn win?
6.
8.
I was expecting that not to be a Tony Gwynn question, actually.
Why the hell wouldn't it be a...
Because that's so predictable. But that's a tough question, so it's okay.
I put on a scale of 1 to 10, I put that as a 7.
Thought maybe it'd be like a Ken Caminiti MVP question, which I would have known that.
Name all dead former Padre third basemen before the age of 45. Ken Caminiti, and that is it. Very good.
Very good.
Mr. Traxler, you are 1 for 1 and 1 for 2.
1 for 2, yep.
Yeah. What do you need? You had a football and a baseball. What you need a basketball? Let me guess.
I want to pick the Timberwolves, but I'm gonna pick somebody else.
You really disappoint.
And I also don't think I'd get it right if I picked the.
Let me see. What's the question there? The Timberwolves. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. I'll take the Wolves then. Why not?
I don't think I'd get this, but I'm not a fan. So. Kevin Garnett, you'll be surprised to know that he has scored the most points of any player that's played for the Timberwolves in history.
That doesn't seem right.
Who is second?
Second in all-time points.
If it wasn't for that son of a bitch Kevin Garnett, who would be the all-time leader? Who is second?
Yeah, I'm gonna get this wrong, and then it's gonna kill me. I will just say Kevin Love.
He might be your next coach.
Sam Mitchell.
God damn it, Sam Mitchell.
God damn it, Sam Mitchell.
I believe Kevin Love will surpass him. I think he's third. I'm not sure.
I wanted to pick Tom Gugliotta, but I knew that wouldn't be right either.
But I believe Love is very close. You should surpass him within at least the first 5 or 10 games.
That's
If
Love.
he even plays for him.
He will.
I didn't think Sam Mitchell played there long enough to be.
He didn't. He just averaged 50 points a game for 1 year.
That's right. Weird.
Nathan Stack, and
Houston Texans.
You are 2 for 2. Is this right?
No, I'm 1 for 2.
Houston Texans. You're all. Yeah, I mean, you got your Tampa Bay guys. You got your Houston guys. Oh, Red Bat.
Smart strategy. Pick teams that haven't been around very long.
There you go.
You see right through me.
The Houston Texans. They've not done well as a franchise over the long haul. Their first ever game was on a Sunday night, ESPN. It was a 1910 win at home. Who did they?
Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. Nathan Stack and
Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Paul McGuire were calling the game.
Yeah.
Well,
Good question. If it was, I'm not criticizing your questions at all. If it was me, I would have gone with how many years in a row did David Carr lead the league in sacks? I don't know the answer, and I'm too lazy to look it up though.
Who was that Cowboys quarterback for that game?
That would have probably been.
Carter or
It
Chad
could've-
Hutchinson.
Yeah, it could have been one of those two. I want to say it was Quincy Carter.
I would guess.
who was the Texans' second pick in the expansion draft? Didn't they take Tony Baselli first?
They took Baselli first. I think their second was another O-lineman, but I don't remember who it was. And obviously Baselli retired before he played a game, so their first pick didn't work out well.
I thought he played for them.
I think he retired due to injuries. Maybe I'm mistaken, and he did play for like a year. He did not play for a long time, though. If he did,
Quarterback Quincy Carter. Mr. Schottenkirk, the final participant here, the final question. He takes the Lakers. Let's see. Tony Baselli did not play for Houston. He played #1 pick coming out.
Wow.
Played 7 years for Jacksonville. Played only 3 games in 01. Really had a pretty short career, I guess. Played.
He's the last expansion draft holdout then.
There you go. The Lakers. They're a good team. They've made the finals on numerous occasions. This one player for the Lakers, he holds the record for most points in one NBA Finals. He scored 284 points over the course of an entire NBA Finals. Who is that player that played for the Lakers? They scored 284 points.
It's Adam Morrison, right?
Derek Fisher.
God damn it, Charlie.
Hey, how come that you guys can say they're
We're not
give
going to
answers?
say a legitimate answer. We're not going to say the other thing that it could be.
Shattenkirk still.
Where do the Raptors play? Air Canada Center. Come on.
I said that's where they play now.
Yeah.
So we're waiting an answer from Mr. Shattenkirk. It is Elgin Baylor.
I would have said Jerry West.
He's 3 for 3. So after one of 2,900 rounds of the Sports Lounge Summer Trivia Challenge, Charlie and David are tied at 3 apiece. Nathan Stacken has 2 points, and Mr. Amon and Mr. Traxler each have 1.
It's getting late early for me and Amon already.
Getting late early. Only 129 more games to go.
Yep, only.
I feel good.
You feel good?
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Good.
I think Shattenkirk's going to win it regardless, so why even play?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Stacking, taking a defeatist attitude, France style.
So we'll have that every week. People here, people not here. We'll see how that ends up. Any thoughts to wrap it up? Ben Revere, he had a home run. That's good to see. Timberwolves still looking for a coach. That's a problem. Shot clocks in South Dakota cost a lot of money. They don't want to pay for it. Traxler thinks Mauer's a cancer patient because he's so brittle. And SDSU, USD, they have a god-awful trophy. Anyone want to take a crack at those before we wrap it up?
I've seen a lot of schools vote against the shot clock, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. There's some schools that don't want to set a precedent, though, either, of putting something in the Constitution that says, you can't have whatever. So it will be interesting to see how that comes out. It could be a pretty close vote.
I'm watching Mr. Baseball on the MLB network on mute, and Tom Selleck has a fantastic mustache. I think that's my final thought.
Very good. Drew Almond, what did you shoot today?
It rained. I have not golfed.
Very disappointing. Because it looked like you had golf.
I was ready.
You were ready.
Yep.
Is it too dark now? Is it too dark in the west?
I'm throwing in the towel by me joining this here show.
More of the darkness or the wetness?
Wetness.
The wetness. Hey. Nathan Stack can make me laugh.
What do you want me to do? It's just be me. I guess I could make you laugh.
Tell me a joke.
Okay. You okay? Here we go. This is a good one. This isn't something off of the Laffy Taffy wrapper. Or it might be.
I know your game.
I'm very punny, but why did the tomato chase the bottle?
Because he's a racist.
To catch up.
Very good, Nathan Sagan. Nathan Sagan. He wins the show today.
I will be here all day.
I love ketchup jokes are always funny.
And David Shattenkirk ends the show by responding to that joke by saying...
I did not want to go there, Shattenkirk. I did not. Travis put me on the spot. That's the only joke I could come up with.
Just like France, to blame someone else for your problems.
By saying, and I quote, Jesus Christ. Charlie Hildebrand, you can decline if you want, but you had a pretty good joke that is about women drivers, which I enjoy tremendously.
I forgot about that.
You can decline to tell if you want. I will not hold it against you, but I think...
Sure, I can tell it. Because obviously it's meant humorously. Why was Helen Keller such a poor driver, Stackin?
Well, why are you asking me? I have no idea.
Because everyone else has heard me say this before. No, it's because she was a woman.
Oh. I thought she was black.
Very good. Very good. 2-0 Blackhawks, by the way, so they are going to march on to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Is that a fact?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's still 2.5 periods left, but you know what? Chicago 2-0 lead at home. That's not looking good for the Kings.
Couldn't they put this on the big NBC? What's on the big NBC? They couldn't put this on there?
I don't know.
Dateline. You can't move Dateline.
So they got the
To catch a predator.
I mean, if you want to get me excited, put on Catch a Predator, one of my favorite shows of all time. Watching these guys walk into that room, not knowing what's going to happen.
They don't even do that anymore, though.
I know it's like 7, 8 years old, but man, when they replay it at 1 a.m.
You know what's funny is the Family Guy little clip that they have where they're like, it's the same thing with To Catch a Predator, and they're talking about how prideful they are, and Chris Hansen comes in and he says, "Hi, I'm Chris Hansen. Do you know why I'm here?" And he's like, "No, I drove 500 miles to talk to a 12-year-old."
Nice.
So.
Nice. Very good. For David Jottenkirk joining us from Boston, for Nathan Stackett, for Marcus Traxler, for Drew Ahmed, for Charlie Hildebrand, I'm Travis Kriens. This was the 69th Sports Lounge. Next week it'll be the 70th.
It's the Jared Allen.
The numbers are the same, except they're flipped, and that's funny.
We're going back to the clean edition instead of the dirty edition.
The 70th edition of the Lounge next week, right here. Where's it going to be, Traxler?
Right here in the Sports Lounge, in it!